Uh. Yeah.
I think it's probably important to talk not so much about the Māori initially, but certainly about what happened in World War One. And that was when there was a move, a push from Māori members of Parliament to ensure that Māori were represented in those forces that went overseas on behalf of King and Country. So that's where you saw the emergence of the Māori contingent. And they were at Gallipoli, and also known as Toko Whatuatu. And later on that transferred into the Pioneer Battalion, made up of Māori but also Pacific Islanders. And I think one of the important things that comes from that is the cadre of officers that were developed from the First World War, which are important and integral into the formation and also the support for the Māori Battalion in the Second World War. So that bit starts over here. Bearing in mind that at that time, not all Māori wanted to be involved in the First World War, in particular Waikato, under Te Puea, and you can understand that they lost a lot of land through confiscation, and also Tāwhiao would say that they wouldn't be at war anymore. So that's the background to their decision to not be included into it. And that was even at the incarceration of the King's brother at the time, Te Rauanga, was incarcerated for not going to World War One. So initially for Māori, it was volunteer, and they weren't, at the first, they weren't, native contingents were not appreciated, and I think it was more about natives from other countries coming to kill Europeans. So, albeit that they went to other roles such as digging saps or digging trenches and then the like, you still heard the Māori Battalion, or the Māori contingent at the time, was involved in actually Chunuk Bair, so at Gallipoli, and there were reports of kamate being heard at that place. So that's World War One. When it comes towards World War Two, even before World War Two was declared for the Allied forces, I suppose, under Great Britain, Āpiranga Ngāti was starting to advocate for the formation of the Māori Battalion, and that was then taken up by others within Parliament, Māori members of Parliament, Te Karani Sullivan and Pākehā, I think were the other two. So it became that they were to be formed, and they were going to have a battalion made of initially Māori men, but being commanded by Pākehā officers, which didn't go down too well with those who were trying to push for a Māori battalion. But in the end, the colonel, who commanding officer of the battalion, and his first RSM Ace Squad, so Colonel Dittmar, the other ones who trained the Māori battalion here in Palmerston, and then later led them into battle. So why was it formed? It was really formed, I think, one phrase you hear is a price of citizenship, which really, in hindsight, I often think about, so why does a Māori need to prove that he's worthy of his own citizenship within his own country? But that was the context of it at the time, the Māori having to prove themselves of being worthy. And so it was. And so they did go away. So they did fight, and we did have, they did feature in some of the battles in World War II. For example, the first time they fought was at Olympus Pass. That was more of a blocking force for the Germans who were advancing. This is in Greece. So this is in 1940 in Greece. And try to slow the advance of the German force, so allow those Allied forces to escape by ship. And from there, they went from there to Crete. Now, not everybody could get off Greece. Some had to stay behind. There weren't enough ships to take everybody off. And so some of the Māori Battalion members were incarcerated there, held prisoner of war there in Greece. The next battle that they saw was there in Crete, and certainly the famous charge at 42nd Street, where once again Kamate was heard, and they advanced on the Germans who were holding in 42nd Street and managed to push them back. And then they had to climb over this big mountain. If you've been to Crete, there's a big mountain range there. And to escape once again from the Germans, they couldn't hold the air force and the airfield. The New Zealanders couldn't hold the airfield. So they led to the collapse of defence forces at Crete, and once again they had to evacuate from Crete. And it was there that some of them were left behind. Some of the, once again from various battalions, there were so many told you had to leave so many behind, and then some more of the Māori soldiers were captured there, including one of my grandmother's brothers. So that's what I understand about the Māori Battalion.